Hello everybody, Oliver here from the Earful Tower podcast. This is a day trip episode, an on-the-go episode. I'm going to take you to the Champagne region of France as part of a day trip from Paris. This whole season is brought to you by My Private Paris, a boutique travel agency. They do itineraries, they do tour guiding, and they take podcasters out to Champagne, which is exactly what's going to happen today. You're going to hear the voice of Bertrand d'Allemagne. He is my guide for the day, and a few things just to explain before we get started. I think it's really important to say that there are probably infinite permutations of a trip to Champagne because there are so many different champagne houses. There are big ones, the big famous ones, of which we'll visit one, and there are lots of sort of private, small, boutique-y ones, of which we're going to visit as well. And then there's Reims, the city that's so close to Paris that is really worth exploring too. So you can do it in many different ways. The way that we did it is just one version. If you want to book a trip with My Private Paris, you can do it like we did it or however you like. So before we get out to Champagne, the music. Press Maxon is back with his version of a classic 80s tune that he's reimagined to make it move a little more. I'll tell you what the song is called halfway through, so you can try and guess it before if you want. And then otherwise, strap in tight, because we're going to Champagne. Cheers! Day trip
to Champagne.
How are you? Let's rewind a little bit. Bertrand, how are you today?
I am very well, thanks.
I'm super excited because I've never done a day trip to Champagne, and you have convinced me to get out of my Paris bubble and come and explore, and I'm already excited with a little bit of a sea change. First, when I say Champagne, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, the bubbles, of course. The bubbles, the Champagne vineyards. But what I wanted to show you is also the region that is called Champagne.
Mm-hmm. So what does that involve? Can we talk a little bit about the idea of what we're going to be doing today?
Yes.
I should add, we're not in Paris already. If people can hear the luggage going past, we're in Reims, which maybe we start with the pronunciation.
Well, you got it right. It's Reims, not Reims. I'm sorry for those who thought it was Reims. But
it's spelled R-E-I-M-S. People can be forgiven for getting it wrong, but I think a lot of people just give up on it. And that's dangerous too.
It's, we get it when you say Reims, but if you say Reims, we like it better.
Tell me what you think about this. I tell people sometimes, if you say France, the word France, and take off the F, so you say Reims, it's not correct, but it's way closer than Reims.
I never thought of it this way, but yes, it's almost the same.
If I say it quickly, hey, should we go to Reims?
Let's go to Reims, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Bertrand from My Private Paris, taking me around Champagne. Explain this day to me.
Well, the Champagne is a vast region with beautiful cities.
Really?
I do, I swear.
What's my show called?
Earful Tower.
Okay.
I know you and Lena. I love you and Lena.
Oh, I love to hear it. What's your name?
Jeff Adams.
You're in the introduction to a podcast episode right now.
This is so exciting.
Hello, everybody.
Bonjour.
Enjoy your trip to Champagne.
Merci.
So what I want to show you is the Champagne region, which is the vineyards, the houses, do a bit of tasting, of course, but also the Champagne, the historical Champagne, with the capital city that Reims is, with a beautiful cathedral, worth really the one of Paris, Notre Dame, and to understand a little bit the economy with the history of the Champagne being close to Paris and an area of its own.
After Reims, the idea is to get a taste, excuse the pun, of Champagne as a region too.
Very well. Yes. So the way I plan the day is to start with the city of Reims, a bit of a city tour, walking tour, food tour, and then we're going to drive through what is known as the mountain of Reims. It's not so big of a mountain, it's more hills, but so we can drive through the vineyards, get our first tasting, and I have planned a very great tasting at the end of the day in a house that is a bit further away from Reims, called Pierre Paillard. It's two brothers who are running it, and we will have a pretty great tasting out there, and then we're coming back to us.
I think I'm sure there are people listening who've thought about coming to Champagne before, certainly to Reims. I've never done it as a day trip. I've got to add 45 minutes on the train, very easy. I mean, I think it's not even a day trip. You could come out here for like a 3-hour trip, right? I mean, are we in the center of Reims now, more or less? Or?
We are in the center of Reims. There are 2 train stations in Reims. We are in the Reims Ville, which is Reims City, so downtown. And there's also a train station, Reims TGV, which is about 30-minute drive away. But if you're planning the day on your own, go to Reims Ville, so you really are in the city.
Okay, cool. And then I'm excited because I thought I'd been to Reims before, never have apparently, according to the photos I've taken.
Well, you would remember.
Okay, even better. And then Champagne I've never done as a day trip. I stopped by once, so it's on the way driving into Eastern Europe, I guess. But it's all new for me, so I'm excited. But my question was, do you think when it comes to Champagne that people feel it's too unmanageable, too undoable? You know, like we talked before about Provence. I think a lot of people love Provence, but they're scared of the idea where to begin. Do you feel there's a similar vibe out here? Like which Champagne house, which...
I think so. Although a lot of people who go to Champagne are Champagne lovers, and most of the time they have a favorite brand, whether it's Veuve or Moet or Ruinart or one of the main house usually, because they are the one you can find almost everywhere. And that you can look online, but it's pretty hard to get tasting if you didn't book quite in advance. And I mean, they are important houses. But I think where it gets more interesting and feels more like a real journey is when you go to the small producers who grow their own grape and then they make their own blend. They turn the bottles. I'm going to explain all of that to you during the day. But I think that's when they really go to Champagne. Otherwise, it feels like you're doing a trip to a store. And when you go to the small houses, you get to understand more the Champagne lifestyle.
The beating heart of the Champagne region.
Yes.
What about the pronunciation? Champagne in English?
Champagne.
Champagne?
Yes.
You really got to move your mouth on that one.
Yes, very much.
Champagne. I feel like a lot of French is daring to move your mouth.
Well, that's a great way to put it.
But don't you think, like, when I used to think tu and vous rhymed. I said it on the podcast once to a French teacher.
They don't.
She's like, yeah, exactly.
No,
and I was like, what do you mean? This was years ago, forgive me. But when she was like, you got to move your mouth. Tu,
vous. I mean, the lips look pretty much the same, but it's the tongue within.
I think us foreigners have to dare. Tell me the Champagne one more time.
Champagne.
Champagne and Reims.
Reims.
Reims. Everyone at home will...
France, Reims, that's
Reims. Reims.
Yeah, that's...
Doesn't work if you say France. Reims. Oh, it kind of does.
It does, yeah.
Enough pronunciation. Let's go and check it out.
Allez, en avant.
So we're sitting... Do we have to whisper in a cathedral?
I think we do.
We've got to whisper, okay. Yeah. So we're in the cathedral in Reims. I've established that I haven't been to this city. So far, just walking up here, love it. Can't believe I've not been here. Really, like, you said it's like a little Paris. And little Paris without people and very picturesque. Small Paris, mini Paris. Literally, like, the building's like 3 stories high rather than... is the whole city, like, have we sort of walked through half of it to get to the cathedral, or...?
Nearly half of it, yes. Yeah, okay. It's not huge, so it's very manageable on foot, which is great. And it's dense without feeling the pressure of the density. You were right to mention the buildings are just 3 stories high, but in 10 minutes walk from the train station, we are in the cathedral.
It's got, you said that a lot of it had been destroyed in the First World War, so it's kind of like this Art Deco, Art Nouveau feeling, I don't know, kind of unusual identity.
Yes, the First World War, most of the fights, especially in 1914-15, were taking place on a river called the Marne, which is a tributary of the Seine, and we are in the area of France, within the Champagne region. We are in the département of La Marne. And so Reims, the cathedral, but mostly the city, was heavily bombed during the First World War, and most of it was destroyed. The cathedral suffered from huge losses. The roof was completely gone, just like the one of Notre Dame, Paris, a few years ago. But here in Reims, the churches, the cathedral, the buildings, they remain when most of the housing was destroyed.
Would you think that was on purpose?
No, it's also, the city was bombed on purpose, that's for sure.
But I mean, like sometimes when they're bombing, they avoided beautiful buildings for whatever reason.
Well, in that war and in this building, it's quite the opposite. The Cathedral of Reims received over 300 bombs on it. Maybe one can be by mistake, but 300, no, it was targeted.
Tell me, first it's weird to be in a cathedral given how long Notre Dame has been closed.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know what I make of it, because it feels a lot like Notre Dame, doesn't it? Except way taller.
Way taller. Much narrower also, so there's a feeling of height that is probably more impressive in here than in the Cathedral of Paris.
What's your favorite French cathedral?
Well, I started my tour guide career, if I can say, by Notre Dame de Paris. So, you can hear we're in a cathedral.
It's alright, I love the ambience.
So I have personal deep connection to this one, but the cathedral I am attached to the most is the one of my hometown, Bayonne, in the south of France, which is gorgeous also, and that's where I have childhood memories.
Right. Bayonne can be for another episode. Let's bring it back to Reims for a second.
Sure.
Can you tell me maybe 3 things that you absolutely... You're talking to the world here.
Ooh.
They're going to come to Reims. What are the 3 things you have to tick off here?
Well, if we're talking landmarks, I would say definitely is the cathedral. There's also a basilica, which is also quite stunning, but if you have to pick just one, pick the Cathedral of Reims, where the French kings were traveling to be crowned. Mm-hmm. Then the second thing is something you would not expect to see in a French city so up north, is a Roman ruin. When I say Roman, it's back to the Roman Empire. It's called the Gate of Mars. It's a huge arch. It's the biggest arch that is still standing today, which is showing that in the Roman times, when the Romans brought the vine and the work of wine to the area, the city of Reims was a huge city. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, an arch like this would not have been built.
Like an arch, like an entryway to the city, or just
yes.
Yeah, okay. A wall attached?
There was a medieval wall attached.
Here we go.
More or less built at the time of Philip Auguste.
Okay, you got me interested.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to deliver that now because I want you to stay interested.
Okay, go on then. And what's the third thing?
And the third one, it's also a bit surprising, but I think you have to see it. It's a high school. So why high school? It's because on the 7th of May of the year 1945, the German army surrendered to the Allied forces. So American, English, and a bit of French, but it was mostly American and English forces. The German army surrendered here in Reims.
At a high school?
In a high school. They needed to find a place that was still standing and with a large room. And we can visit that now.
Is this a place that's like worldwide known, this high school, or is it something that, like, because I haven't heard about this, but that could say mostly about me, or is it something that, like, World War buffs are very passionate about, or?
Yes, only World War buffs.
Is that true? Okay, good.
Yes.
I feel better.
Because in France, for instance, you know this, on the 8th of May, it's a holiday, it's a public holiday, because it's considered to be the day the German army surrendered.
Not the 7th.
Not the 7th, because on the 8th of May, the German army had to surrender again, this time in Berlin, to Russian and Western Allied forces. Okay. So the 7th one is the historical date, but the 8th of May is the remembered date.
Okay, so we'll go see those now.
Yeah.
I would like to add about this town something I didn't expect is quite popular with tourists. Even we're here in October. I think back then at the trade stations, the first time someone stopped me while recording a podcast episode, but that took me by surprise because, we're not in Paris anymore, baby. Is this like a tourist hotspot or?
Well, you saw in the train, we were not the only ones speaking in English. There were a lot of people who were trying to find the platform and where's the stop, etc. So yes, it's definitely a very, very popular place. Although you don't, there's no bus, there's no big groups, etc. So it's popular, but it's not overcrowded.
And is it fair to say most people are off to Champagne, like to champagne tasting and stuff like this?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So this is the stop off before. Okay. Well, let's go and do it. Hello. We've finished the walking tour in the main part of Reims. We're still in Reims.
We're still in Reims, yes.
What I wish people can see because someone's filming what we're doing. But I'm going to try and describe it first.
Please.
We're deep down in the house of Pommery. Mm-hmm. Firstly, just to rewind, I had no idea this was what it was like out here. I imagine when people go out to Champagne that they go to a vineyard and taste champagne. I had no idea that this kind of stuff was here, and it's brilliant. The modern art kind of exhibitions in the bottom of a quarry, are we basically?
Yes. Yeah, originally.
And like just standing just a couple of meters from us is a big glass cage kind of thing, a glass aquarium with feathers flowing around it, some kind of modern art thing, with this juxtaposition of
being underground.
in a kind of with that exact kind of thing. Like what they've done is they've not just made this old wine champagne cellar. They've tried to make it
an ambience, an atmosphere.
I'm loving it. I keep saying I can't believe that I haven't been out here. But why did you choose Pommery of all the? We're not sponsored by Pommery. Why are we here?
Well, exactly for that. It's because in their in the cellar, every year they have a display of contemporary art, which is a brilliant idea. Yeah. Because even if you've been here last year, you want to come back this new year to see how different it is. Mm-hmm. It's also a tradition of the Pommery house to trust and promote contemporary artists of whichever period it is, from the 1800s till today. And so we're not in a museum. This is all the bottles around us. They are actual bottles. Mm. They are actually aging before they're being shipped and sold. But if we were only in these undergrounds, it could be a feel like, it's like it was 200 years ago. Well, it is, but at the same time, it's today. It's important to promote something of today and not just of the past.
I thought that entry where you go through that big sort of medieval-looking door, once you're in this house, and then the door swings open and they put these multicolored lights. Yeah. It kind of feels like, it reminds me a bit of, is it Charles de Gaulle, where they've got that really long popcorn entry down to the plane, whatever, like a big long tube, but going way deep underground with all these modern, it kind of feels like Harry Potter crossed with...
A bit. Well, actually, but maybe it's because the movie was just out, it made me feel a bit like a Beetlejuice.
Oh, I haven't seen it. Okay, yeah, okay.
Where you're going underground, so it's a bit scary, but at the same time, it's full of very playful colors. Mm. So there's
Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory vibe as well. Yes, yeah. I love it. And we're standing. I'm sure we got people listening in Miami right now.
Yes.
But we're standing in the Miami corner where they put the words of all the cities around the world where they allegedly were going to be shipping the champagne.
It's a brilliant idea. The champagne houses, they've been masters of marketing since they started in the 1800s, and so they would not ship too many bottles to one destination, so you keep the value and the interest.
Exclusivity as well.
Exclusivity is key to understand it.
And if there's someone listening who says, don't know anything about champagne, never heard of Pommery, is this one of the main ones? Are we in a...
Yes. It's a bit like in the music industry where you have the major labels. Pommery is one of the big ones with Moet. We talked a bit before, it's pronounced Moet. Moet et Chandon.
Not Moe as everybody seems to think.
No.
I knew it.
If you pronounce it the French way, it's Moet et Chandon. Ruinart, all these, Veuve Clicquot, these are the major houses.
And so the idea today is that we're going to get a glimpse of a major house here and then go and try something a bit more boutique-y?
Boutique-y, yeah, independent grower, which is going to be for the rest of the day.
I want to send a shout out to the whoever the artist was that made that elephant upstairs, because that really tickled me. They put an elephant. I'll share pictures of it.
Describe it.
Wow, they put it. I assume it's a real elephant.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So a taxidermied elephant appearing to balance on the tip of his trunk, and the caption. Yeah, the caption on it said that at a certain distance from Earth, the gravitational pull would be so low that an elephant could balance on his trunk, and that distance is 28,000
kilometers.
Yeah, and so just on the side of the room, there's an elephant on its nose. Brilliant! I'll buy some champagne. You've got me.
Exactly. You see, it works. It's. I mean, the champagne. When you think of champagne wine, it's partyful, right? So it's also the unexpected. It's the art. It's the impression of being surprised, impressed, etc. When you entered the cellar, you the first thing you said was, "Wow! Imagine planning an event here."
Yep.
And so that's what champagne is about. It's
Eiffel Tower Patreon event 2025.
Ooh, I would love to be there.
Okay, we'll see what we can do. I guess we continue then.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, Luca, I've got a question. Someone told me in Australia that when you pour champagne, you tilt the glass on a 45-degree angle. He said it was classy. What do you think of that?
No, this is for beer, not for champagne. Champagne, you have to let your glass on the table and to don't touch it. Just let it like that.
Are you saying my contact in Australia is not a classy person?
Yes, I think, but he probably don't know. Yeah,
it could be the case.
He's not classy. He just don't know the correct way to pour a glass of champagne.
Okay, he might be listening, so we won't call him unclassy. Fair enough. And in terms of filling it up, you just filled it until it was so bubbly and frothy, waited for it to go, fill it more towards the top. That's the way to go.
The correct way to pour the glasses is to pour it in 2 times. 1 time to just, I don't know how to say in English, but on dit mouiller le verre, I don't know in English, to wet the glass, and the second time to fill it up, yes.
Okay, and last question. When you opened it, you did it really quietly when you opened this new bottle. Yes. Is that also a way to be classy at parties and stuff?
During parties, you can pop the cork because it's a party. You have to make some sound to be happy for a thing. But yes, when it's a tasting like this one, you have to be classy and to just do the less sound possible you can.
Luca, thank you for helping me be a classier human being.
You're welcome.
So after I learned how to pour a glass of champagne and indeed how to sip it, we went off a little bit in the hired car, and first we visited the grave of the man himself, Dom Pérignon, the sort of spiritual father of Champagne. He's buried in a small abbey out there in a village called Ouville. And then from there we had a picnic. Now I think I should add, go and check out my YouTube channel, where we've put together lots of clips from the day. You'll see even more than what we talked about, including where we had this beautiful picnic overlooking all the vineyards. And then from there we went to a small champagne house called Pierre Paillard. And here, this is a family-run business. It's been in the family for 8 generations. 8 generations! And one of the staff members there, sort of the spokesman of the company, whose name is Gauthier Le Gonidec. He took us around, showed us downstairs, and then we did a live video for the Eiffel Tower members. And you can watch the replay if you're a member. Otherwise, here's 2 minutes from him talking to me about how to fake a good champagne knowledge. And spoiler alert, there isn't really a way. Leading into that is more of the song from Press Maxim, which I'll reveal now, is called Voyage, Voyage, which is from the band Desireless. Let's have a little listen to that and head off to Pierre Paillard before heading back to Paris. Can I ask a question that's cheating? It's a cheating question.
Yeah.
But as a shortcut, next time I drink champagne anywhere,
Mhm.
if I want to sound really intelligent by talking about it,
Yeah.
what are some things I can say that are never wrong, but sound intelligent?
It's fizzy.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, no.
Actually, don't try that because the champagne is quite small in terms of quantity of production. In Champagne, we produce 300 million bottles a year, but it's very spread. So from one place to another, you don't have the same soils, the same climate, and so on.
And
So-
vinification.
and vinification as well. So everything has an impact about the taste of the final product. So don't try to say something.
There's no shortcut.
I have maybe you can talk about primary taste and secondary taste.
So,
Already
yeah,
saying that
actually-
a champagne has a first flavor and then a secondary flavor.
right. Okay,
You can
and then
say that.
just
Maybe that's
okay.
the
Actually, the thing you can, but not only for the champagne, for the wine, you can smell it first time. Swirl. I can't pronounce this word correctly. Swirl.
You said it perfectly. Swirl, yeah.
Swirl the glass. Drink. Take a first sip, and then we say you do that with the mouth.
I watched what you did, and I did the same thing. Oh yeah.
When you do this, you put a little bit of air into your mouth, and that opens all your cheek, your tongue, your palate. Everything is open, and the wine and the oxygen goes into your entire body, but entire mouth, and that increase.
It's
the
not
flavors.
very romantic on a date, though, is it?
No, it's not.
But so you
Luckily, we're not on a date, right?
Depends if the woman you are dating is
wine
a wine expert, a wine lover.
True.
So if you do that, for sure she will love you.
And then say the primary taste is this. There's no shortcut, so I have to say, okay. And so just like that, we're standing at the train station in Reims where it all began. How do you feel after a day of champagning?
Well, I was pretty happy to show it to you. Coming here is always fun for me, and knowing it's your first time made it quite exciting.
I get the impression that after talking to Gauthier at Pierre Paillard, the champagne house, that we didn't even scratch the surface.
Well, as you said, there are so many houses of champagne, and they all are quite different. So you can spend a whole lifetime finding the champagne that's the best fit for you.
Literally, you'd have to do at least 3 a day to see all of them in a year, by which point a year's passed and the champagne tastes different.
It's not necessarily what we recommend, but you can take more than a year. And
My biggest, I've got to say, my biggest disappointment is that there isn't a cheat for sounding like an expert in describing champagne. Do you think he was right when he said that?
I think so, yeah.
Oh man, that means lots of hard work.
And you should be happy though, because then you see that it's quality produce that you taste.
Of course I'm happy, and I'm excited about the idea of coming back to Champagne again one day. But in terms of what you offer people listening, if they want to do the same thing, it's not just the exact thing that we did today. You can essentially do whatever people can dream up.
Yeah, it's what we like to do the most is to tailor to what people want. Some people want the big houses only, and we stick to that. Some people want more boutique. Some people who could even plan a bike ride in the vineyards in the mountain 2 days instead of 1 day. So that's what makes it fun for us. It's to plan something special.
That's
every
what I've
time.
kind of said a few times now when I'm recommending you guys is people are only limited by their imagination. Don't necessarily just say, I want to do a Louvre tour. Throw you guys a challenge and I think you'll be up to it, right? More or less?
That's when it's the most exciting for us, that's for sure.
Great. Okay, all the links below for people to find out exactly what you guys can offer them. As for us, I think the train's about to go. The driver looks like he's getting ready.
So let's run.
Let's do it.